Good evening. Uh, During my last two sessions, I've been reading out poems to you from a book, Broken Fist Recollections from Tones of Time. And in the next few sessions, I will also be reading out uh, some poems from a new book, Bosom Love, which has just been released last month. Well, it's time to try something different, and it is. Uh, it is some supernatural tales, and these are also very, very personal experiences. Uh, Usually, one resorts to some kind of white lies to put across the tales which have a lot of supernatural element in them. But the ones I am relating are very true. The first one is has been titled as "The Cry." Now, this happened in the year 2011. I had a relative, I had a relative of mine who was suffering from a very dreaded disease, and we three of us, myself, one of my acquaintances, and of course the person who was facing this deadly ordeal, we took the nearest, the fastest available means of transportation during this time, and it was the Kranti Express, which runs from Udhampur to Jammu. Uh, and there we were putting up at GTB Enclave in Delhi, and every morning we used to jaunt between Chilmil metro station to Rohini at the RC, that is Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute, and it was a very tearing and a tearful experience actually, as our patient had to undergo several tests day in and day out to come to conclusions, and it would take hours and hours. We had to wait for long hours. There were certain medical procedures which required enormous amount of patience, and then the results would be forthcoming. We would listen to the results with our breath almost touching the summit level, and so on and so forth. Now, we normally came back after our very exhausted routine, and normally come at around 8 9 in the evening, in one of the relatives' house, which was located at GTB Enclave. It was a DDA flat. It was one ground floor and the middle floor and the top floor, of course, the second floor, that is. And after having our dinner, we used to quietly slip in our beds, which was on the topmost floor. Now, it happened during one of those winter nights of Delhi. The night was completely enveloped in a fog. I still remember the roads were near empty. It was around 12 or 12:30 in the night. My eyes were not getting the sleep from, of course, the too much exhaust which we had to suffer in the hospital, and then a scream, actually a scream which defied any note in that foggy night. The scream lasted for around 5 seconds or so. It was a scream of some lady being chased by some goons in that foggy night, or something like that, which I could guess only. And then that scream still rings in my ears. And then, of course, I couldn't sleep over it, or perhaps I thought it was some sort of a prank by some naughty neighbor who had actually copied it on some musical instrument, and relayed it to frighten the daylights out of somebody who was there that night. So that night passed, and early next morning, still recovering from that scream, I decided to inquire about the incident, and I asked the relative of mine on whose home I was staying, that I heard such and such scream during the night. And to my surprise, he said that yes, the scream does happen in during nights sometime, and it was due to a lady who was burnt by her lawyer husband, and perhaps that lady had not been given due. Her dead body was not given due respects, and the last rites were not performed according to the religious doctrine, and that was the reason why her spirit was still moving on the roads of Delhi. And then he added that this is normally, he was the husband was a lawyer, and he got into frequent fights with his wife, and the two had been maladjusted, and the final step which the husband took was extremely inhuman and barbaric. He had set fire to his wife, and it were those very screams which she gave during that horrible night, which continue to still be there. Now, this has happened about 13-14 years back, and many of you who are listening will not certainly believe it, but I have heard that scream, and the following detail about it, whether it happened or not, whether it has happened or not, well, I cannot vouch for it, but according to the information which was given to me by my relative, there was a certain deal of truth behind that. So the cry remains to me still a mystery, that do the supernaturals normally exist. The second supernatural story which follows is also of a true incident, which I will be relating in my coming episode. Thank you.